Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're decoding the terrifying, but honestly, entirely predictable history of global market crashes. We're going to look at why they happen, what they destroy, and most importantly, how you can use this exact knowledge to build unshakable wealth. Stick around because understanding the past, it's literally your ultimate cheat code for the future.
Okay, imagine this. You wake up in Lagos or Nairobi, you casually check your phone, and boom, your money has just vanished overnight. I'm talking banks with locked doors, your investment portfolios suddenly down 40%, and everyday food prices skyrocketing right before your eyes. Sounds like a total nightmare, right? Well, history tells us this isn't some Hollywood fiction, it's a recurring mathematical pattern. Financial crises aren't rare accidents, they're actually built right into the system. And understanding how they operate is no longer optional. It's a fundamental survival skill.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll break down the anatomy of a financial crisis. Second, 3 crashes that changed history. Third, the 6 stages of panic. Then, we'll get into a beginner's survival guide. And finally, building wealth through wisdom. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. Anatomy of a Financial Crisis. Understanding the engine of the economy.
To get past all the complex jargon, I want you to think of money exactly like oxygen for the human body. When the flow stops, everyone, from massive corporations to everyday folks, starts to suffocate. But notice the absolute key word here: confidence. Our whole global financial system is essentially built on trust. The exact moment that trust evaporates, say when a major bank suddenly starts doubting another bank, or consumers lose faith in their currency, well, the money just stops moving. The oxygen is cut off, unemployment spikes, businesses shutter their doors, and widespread panic sets in. And this beautifully highlights the 2 massive psychological forces driving every single crisis: the crazy pendulum swing between blind greed and paralyzing fear. You see, human behavior is the ultimate economic driver. During a boom, blind greed makes us think the party's never going to end. People start quitting their stable jobs to day trade crypto, completely ignoring massive red flags. But the second that bubble bursts, and it always bursts, that greed instantly morphs into paralyzing fear. People panic sell at the absolute bottom and make incredibly destructive emotional decisions.
Moving right along to Section 2. 3 crashes that changed history. When the world learned that markets can fall.
You know, it's wild how history rhymes. Back in 1929, the Great Crash was totally fueled by margin trading. Everyday people were literally borrowing money to gamble on stocks, fully convinced they just couldn't lose. Fast forward decades later, and 2008 rhymed perfectly. This time, though, it was banks carelessly handing out subprime mortgages to basically anyone with a pulse, erasing trillions in global wealth in a matter of days. And then 2020 came along and proved that crises don't always wear pinstripe suits, right? A microscopic virus completely froze global supply chains, reminding us just how incredibly fast the world can stop.
Now, behind all the complex charts and fancy financial speak is the massive, devastating human cost. Just look at this number: 25%. During the peak of the Great Depression, literally 1 out of every 4 workers had no job. 1 in 4. This wasn't just a red line going down on a graph. It meant millions of families losing everything, literally selling their personal belongings on the street just to scrape together a single meal. And that deep historical pain is driven by a timeless, vicious cycle. Imagine it playing out today. An entrepreneur in Abuja loses their major clients. Out of pure fear, they stop going out. They just stop spending entirely. Well, the local restaurants they used to visit earn less, so they're forced to lay off staff. Maybe an Accra University student working part-time. It's a domino effect. One falling domino knocks down the next, dragging the whole local economy down with it. We are all completely interconnected.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 6 stages of panic, decoding the predictable patterns. It's almost eerie, but every crash in history follows this exact same choreography. We always start with optimism, which quickly builds into excitement as the profits start rolling in. Then, we hit the absolute danger zone, euphoria. This is when your cab driver starts giving you hot stock tips, and everyone suddenly thinks they're a financial genius. Warning signs are completely ignored. Then, reality violently hits. Panic sets in, and everyone sells at the exact wrong time. But don't forget the final, absolutely crucial step: recovery. The world eventually right-sizes itself, and the cycle just begins all over again.
The absolute biggest trap in that entire cycle? Herd mentality, for sure. It is incredibly dangerous to tell yourself, oh, well, this time is different. When you see folks taking out loans to buy hyped-up assets just because it was trending on social media, they are walking blindfolded right off a financial cliff. We just love to follow the crowd without doing our own research. Excitement creates dangerous bubbles, but independent thinking and fierce discipline, that is what actually builds long-term wealth.
All right, Section 4, the Beginner's Survival Guide, Practical Tools to Protect Your Money.
Consider this your personalized financial armor. First things first, build an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months living expenses. Why? Because cash is the ultimate shock absorber. Live below your means and aggressively avoid bad debt. Seriously, ask yourself, if your main source of income vanished tomorrow, would that fancy car loan bankrupt you? And finally, diversify. Spread your money around. Never, ever rely entirely on one company or one single income stream to keep you afloat.
Okay, final stretch. Section 5, Building Wealth Through Wisdom, Turning History into Opportunity.
To truly thrive after a crisis, you have to master one incredibly simple truth: the profound difference between an asset and a liability. Honestly, it's this straightforward. Assets actively put money into your pocket while you sleep. Think index funds, a profitable side hustle, or a rental property. Liabilities, on the other hand, actively drain your pocket, like a high-interest credit card you used to buy designer clothes you didn't really need. Building true wealth is just the relentless process of collecting assets and eliminating liabilities.
Real wealth is a marathon, guys, not a sprint. It starts by earning income through constantly leveling up your skills. But the real secret sauce? Paying yourself first. The very day you get paid, immediately route 10% into an investment account before you even have a chance to look at it. Then you step back and let the incredible snowballing power of compound growth take over. It's never about timing the market perfectly, it's about your total time in the market. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to internalize this golden rule. Preparation beats prediction every single time. Honestly, no one knows exactly when the next global crash is going to happen. The timing is a total mystery. But if you are armed with an emergency fund, multiple income streams, and absolute emotional discipline, well, a crisis isn't a disaster for you. It actually becomes an incredible opportunity to build generational wealth while everyone else is panicking.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Knowing that the economic machine will inevitably cycle, and knowing that the next downturn is already out there on the horizon, what single step will you take today to protect your tomorrow? Are you going to set up that emergency fund? Will you finally sit down and track your expenses? The economic cycle is completely out of your control, but your financial future, that is entirely in your hands.